Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Ideas Information Session and Writing Workshop. We'll be starting in about 2 or 3 minutes, so just hang on and we will be right with you. We want to allow a little bit more time for some other folks to get online, so we'll be starting in about 2 minutes. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Big Ideas Online Information Session and Writing Workshop. I'm Philip Denny. I'm the manager of the Big Ideas competition. This is
Adrienne Check. I am this year's contest coordinator and one of the advisors for the contest as well.
So today, we just want to walk everyone through the Big Ideas competition. This is for campuses, not particularly Berkeley, but other campuses that are now competing in Big Ideas. There are 18 campuses this year competing in Big Ideas, over 650,000 students across those campuses. So we're really excited to have lots of people, it looks like, from other campuses online right now. But what we want to do is just walk you through the Big Ideas contest, give you a little background about what the goals are and what the pre-proposal process looks like and when the dates are and things like that, just so you have a little bit of background as you're preparing your big idea. We want to welcome everybody first and foremost. There is a social stream on Google Hangout. There is also a social stream on YouTube where you can drop questions in. We have somebody monitoring for questions during this broadcast. Or you can also email bigideas@berkeley.edu if you have any questions, and those will come right to us and we'll get your questions answered while we are still live on air. So feel free to ask us questions that way. And there is about a 30-second delay from when we talk to when you hear us. So just keep that in mind that we may get to your questions a little bit after you ask them because we're on delay. So with that, we just want to kind of launch into the Prezi that we have ready for you. And I'm going to do a screen share and hopefully all of our technology works out. Okay, if it's working, everybody should be looking at my Prezi now. Actually, I should say Adrienne's Prezi. So here we go. Big Ideas is an annual innovation competition. It started here on the Berkeley campus back in 2005. It provides funding, support, and encouragement to interdisciplinary teams of students who have big ideas to solve important social challenges. And we really want students to come at the very early stage with an idea. In the process of Big Ideas, help students work through those ideas and turn them into actionable plans with potential for impact. But first, I want to walk you through, or I want to show you a video. It gives a really good background on Big Ideas. Some of the students who have gone before and submitted applications and won, and some of the other judges and mentors of Big Ideas. I think it'll give you a good context of the varied type of projects that come through Big Ideas, the students that come through Big Ideas, both graduates and undergraduates, and just it'll give you a general overview. So with that, I'm going to turn you into a YouTube video.
What makes an idea big?
I think what makes an idea big is that it goes outside the normal boundaries.
I think what makes an idea big is its potential for its impact in the community.
It's novel, it's unique, it's challenging, it's exciting.
The Big Ideas program seed funds and encourages student innovation for a better planet.
Undergraduate students are rarely recognized as producing innovative, cutting-edge ideas.
It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of, it doesn't take a 5-year PhD research project in order to do some of these things.
I heard about the Big Ideas program, and it was brought to our attention as a group, and we thought, hey, this would be a really great opportunity to kind of get the word out about our projects and see if we can get some support.
And it ends up being much more than a grant because it gives you that confidence to go forward. The fact that there's other people in the room and other people at Cal that are reviewing this and thinking, hey, you should go for this.
Having it was like one of the best things for our project. It really got us off the ground at a point where we needed that extra inspiration.
Yeah, knowing that the campus is supporting projects like this and that you have access to these resources has been very instrumental.
Just the fact that Big Ideas existed and seemed willing to fund a project like this gave us hope, because our budget for dental is actually like under $200 a semester. And we saved the residents of Berkeley like probably $50,000 to $100,000 just through the services we have.
Capitalize on the creativity of the students. Don't tell them the solution. Give them the opportunity and let them come up with creative ideas.
We should disabuse ourselves of the idea that all smarts are with the professors. Students are just as smart, they're just younger, that's all.
We created a business plan for Big Ideas. So it really gave us that push to really follow through on this and give up our investment banking and consulting offers that we had. And as soon as we got the news that we had gotten the grant, I think that's the first time we said, hey, let's give up what we were doing and let's follow our passion.
The power of the small grant is that it allows students to experiment earlier in their lives. They don't need to wait to complete a PhD and get a faculty appointment to try something new. I think that's very important. Otherwise, we waste a whole kind of generation just waiting for the credentials to do something they have some capacity to do earlier.
What makes an idea big?
I think what makes an idea big is that it goes outside normal boundaries and it really kind of surpasses what was already there and sets a precedent for something new.
Okay, so that's the Big Ideas video. And what I really love about that video, what I think it shows very well, is the different type of projects that come through Big Ideas. You saw the Back to the Roots project. That was a team of undergraduate business school students, and they were forming a social enterprise that's now in Whole Foods and Target and other companies nationwide now. But they were undergraduate business students who had consulting and investment banking offers, and they decided once they got their Big Ideas grant that was validation that they should move forward with their idea. And now it's a full-fledged enterprise that employs about 90 people in the Berkeley area. You also saw the Cal Sol Agua, or the solar water heater project. Those were two graduate engineer students here at UC Berkeley, and they were looking to form more of a nonprofit social venture. And then you saw the Suitcase Clinic, and that was a student organization. It was about 40 different students here at the UC Berkeley campus, and it's really a service organization here in the Berkeley community doing good work, but it was neither a social enterprise nor a nonprofit. It was just a service organization. So graduate, undergraduates from across disciplines, any type of organization, really what we want are teams that are at the early stage, at the ideation stage, or pre sort of investment ready stage. And we want to get those teams into the big ideas ecosystem and support their ideas and help them develop their ideas. What you see now is a slide of a number of different past winners of big ideas. I won't go through who all these people are, but if you go to our Big Ideas website, bigideas.berkeley.edu, and look at past winners, you can begin to get sort of a flair, a scope for the different type of projects that have come before. So this year in the Big Ideas competition, we have 9 categories open to students. Category eligibility varies by campus. So if you're from some of the UC campuses, if you're from another UC campus, 8 of these categories are eligible and open to you. If you're from another campus, what you really have to do is you have to go to the website, click on the category to which you want to apply, and make sure that you and your campus are eligible to compete in that category. But this year, we have 9 categories: energy and resource alternatives, art and social change, mobiles for reading, global health, improving student life, and that's a UC Berkeley only category, financial inclusion, which is a new category that we added to the Big Ideas competition this year, IT for society, food systems, which was one of our most popular categories last year, and then we have a scaling up category, and that's just for past winners of Big Ideas, and there have been past winners from other UC campuses before, but that's for past winners who are looking to sort of take the next step and really harness their project and go to the next level. Okay, so to apply to Big Ideas, as I mentioned, you have to check the eligibility for each category and make sure that you're a student from an eligible campus for that category. That's the first thing. And then the big requirements that you have to be aware of are that the team lead has to be a matriculated student at an eligible campus. So again, check that category webpage. I can't say that enough. The project has to be student initiated and student led. And what we mean by that is it shouldn't be an extension of faculty research. It shouldn't be something that a faculty member is working on that you are a student who's also supporting the project on. It should be student-led and student-initiated. It shouldn't also be an extension of a nonprofit organization effort. It should be a student effort, a student-initiated, student-led effort. And last, the other thing to keep in mind is that Big Ideas is a prize. It's not a grant competition. If you are lucky enough to win an award at the end of the Big Ideas competition, and we'll talk about the timeline in a minute, it's an award for developing the idea. But what we do see year after year is that the teams that go through this entire academic year-long competition, the teams that are really passionate about their projects and end up winning an award, those teams do go on to implement their projects. So even though it's not a grant competition, and even though there aren't benchmarks and deliverables once you receive the funding, that those teams do go on and implement their projects. And we can talk about some of the past winners in a minute. And again, the bigideas.berkeley.edu website is the main source for any information you need on Big Ideas. Okay, so let's quickly now cover the timeline. So right now we're in the pre-proposal stage. As I mentioned, it's an academic year-long competition. The whole competition spans from September 8th when we launched the competition this year, through May of next year. Right now we're in the pre-proposal stage, which extends until the deadline, and I'll say this probably 3 times during the webcast. The deadline is November 12th, 2015 at noon. That's the pre-proposal deadline. And during this period, what we're doing are information sessions like this. We have writing workshop. I can't stress enough that we have open advising hours for remote campuses, for non-Berkeley campuses. We will schedule a Skype or a Google Hangout with you, and we'll talk face-to-face with you about your project. We'll read over your proposals, provide you feedback. All you have to do is email bigideas@berkeley.edu or go to our website and click on advising, and you can schedule a time to meet with an advisor remotely. But we have writing workshops, we have advising hours, we have an editing blitz that we will also allow teams to email us and send us their proposals for, and that's on November 10th. But just if you need any support at all during this pre-proposal stage and you're from another campus, the best thing to do is check out our website or email us at bigideas@berkeley.edu. Am I leaving anything out, Adrian?
Nope, that sounds great.
Okay. So After that November 12th deadline, there will be a short review period, about a 3-week review period, and then finalists will be notified in December whether or not they're moving on. For those folks who are moving on to the final round, they'll fill out a mentor matching worksheet, and we will pair you up with a mentor based upon the needs that you state for your project. So it's basically a hand pairing that we do for these. And the mentorship period will last 8 weeks. So from January through the final proposal deadline or full proposal deadline of March 9th. And in a second, Adrian will cover exactly what goes into those pre-proposals and full proposals and how they differ. But what you have to remember is those key dates, and I'll just go back here again. Pre-proposal deadline, November 12th. And then if you move on to the final stage, the full proposal is due on March 9th. And then after the full proposals are due, we have another 3-week review period. And then we have some really great events. We have a People's Choice video contest, and that's open to anybody who has applied in the pre-proposal stage to Big Ideas. That's an opportunity to win an additional $2,500 for your project. So if you apply to Big Ideas, you're eligible to submit a 2-minute video to the People's Choice video contest in April. And then the notification of awards comes mid to the end of April. And then the 6 top teams across all 9 categories are invited to Grand Prize Pitch Day. And that is this year, I think, on May. We haven't determined a date, but it will be in early May, I think May 5th or May 6th, somewhere around that time frame. And the 6 top teams will compete for an additional $5,000 in funding. And in the final proposal stage, applications can receive anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 in funding based upon how they rank. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adrian. Adrian will walk you through exactly what the judges are looking for in the elements of the pre-proposal, which you will have to fill out for the first part of the contest. Adrian.
Thanks, Philip. So because we're only 1 month away from our pre-proposal deadline on November 12th, 2015 at 12 noon Pacific time, and we can't emphasize this more, especially for all the campuses who aren't UC Berkeley or on Pacific time, please make sure you're getting your time frame right and that you're submitting your pre-proposal application at noon on November 12th. But because we're 1 month away from our deadline, I wanted to go through kind of what judges are looking for, walk you through our application portal, and then talk about the main things you need to be thinking about as you're developing your pre-proposal. And as always, we know that even though you're not located on the Berkeley campus, all of our advisors are here for you. Please email us at bigideas@berkeley.edu to sign up for advising hours. And I can say most students that come and talk to us about their pre-proposal say it makes a huge difference before they submit before the deadline. So please email us. So let's talk a little bit about what judges are looking for in your pre-proposal. 40% of your overall score is going to go into innovation in this round. And it's important to note in the full proposal round, we're going to focus on viability, and that'll be the bulk of your judging, of what you'll be judged on. But in the pre-proposal round, we're going to focus on innovation. So what that means is not that you need to develop an entirely new innovation that nobody has seen before, but you could be utilizing this product in an innovative way, or talking about how a certain service or product could be delivered more effectively and efficiently. The other thing that you'll be judged on is potential for impact. So the extent to which a problem is well researched and understood, and the extent to which your proposed project addresses the problem that you've identified. Viability is pretty straightforward. You'll need to talk briefly about the potential challenges that you might encounter if you implement this project. The category challenge accounts for 15% of your overall score, and it's how well does your project fit into the category description. So as always, go to each category page on our Big Ideas website. Make sure you're reading through all the details and all the guidelines and making sure that your project is a good fit for that category.
And in a minute, we're going to walk you exactly through how you get to the various categories and how you apply on the online portal and all that. So just hold on. Once Adrian's through this, we'll go through the system as well on the website.
And then lastly, quality accounts for 10% of your overall score, and that's the extent to which your proposal is professional, persuasive, and well-written. All right, moving on to the application platform, because we have so many teams come to us and they don't know how to actually apply for the Big Ideas contest, we're going to do so right now. So what you need to do is go to our bigideas.berkeley.edu website, go to compete, how to apply, and you see here in this first section, it'll give you specific instructions on how to apply for the contest. So if you go to the categories on the left side, say I wanted to apply for art and social change, I'll click on art and social change, read through all of the different guidelines related to this category, and make sure that my campus is eligible. So as Philip mentioned, you should be making sure that your campus is eligible way before you start writing your pre-proposal. But we've had incidents where people would come in, are ready to submit their pre-proposal, and then realize that they aren't actually eligible for the category.
Yes, this is a big warning. We had a team last year that did this right on the deadline. They had put a lot of time into their application. And so we just want to warn you to make sure you check that eligibility. We can't say it enough because we'd hate for you to run into that same problem.
After you read through all the rules on each category page, you click on Apply Now, and it'll take you to the application platform. Here, you'll need to create an account and sign in. And it'll take you to this form here. The first page is pretty straightforward, and I want to caveat this by saying that all of the information that you'll put through our website platform will be public information. Here is where you fill out your own information as well as that of your student team members. And then more importantly, when you move to the next project information form, you'll know that after you put in the title and the geographic area of where your project activities will take place, you'll need to provide a 50-word and 150-word summary of your project. And I really want to emphasize this because a lot of teams get to our website platform, they don't realize that they need to do this summary, and they'll fill it in last minute. But this is also the first thing that your judges see. So all the information that you put into your 50 and 150-word summaries need to be accurate, they need to be punchy, and they need to really make an impression on your judge. But basically, your 50-word summary is your elevator pitch and your quick description of what your project looks like. And then your 150-word summary is an expansion of that. As you move down the page, you'll notice that you'll fill out a few other questions, and then you'll have an opportunity to upload your pre-proposal. After doing that, you'll check that you've read all of the requirements required of the Big Ideas contest. And I'll also note that earlier I mentioned that all the information going into the application platform will be public, and that includes your 50 and 150-word summaries. So if you have any confidential information that you don't want to include, that you don't want to be released publicly, please don't put it into those 50 and 150-word summaries. However, there is an opportunity for you to mark whether or not you want the information in your pre-proposal to be completely private. And that is right here. To make sure you check yes or no, depending on whether or not your pre-proposal will remain confidential or not. And then as you move through the platform, you just click through next, and it'll take you to a quick survey that you'll fill out, and then you're ready to submit.
So just to clarify, the information on the web platform, particularly the 50-word and 150-word summary, those could potentially be used to demonstrate the types of projects that are going through Big Ideas. They could be used publicly. But the document that you upload, your 3-page PDF pre-proposal, you can check that box and make it confidential if you'd like to.
All right, and now back to our presentation. Some general rules for your pre-proposal. So this is an absolute 3-page limit. For those of you who participated with us last year, you'll know that we had a 5-page limit for the pre-proposal, including a timeline and budget. But this year, we really wanted you to focus on the core components of the pre-proposal, which I'll go through in a second, and not get too distracted with the timeline and budget, because in the past, judges have been able to provide criteria, to provide a critique that hasn't been always helpful, because the budget is kind of something that's thrown together not very seriously in the pre-proposal round. So we do want you to focus on the components that I'll talk about in a second. Your 3-page limit does not include references, and we need all of your works cited to be there as well. But also note that there are no appendices in the pre-proposal round. So in the full proposal round, you're free to put in whatever additional information you think would help your project, but not in this pre-proposal round. Your document needs to be PDF'd. It needs to be in 12-point font, Times New Roman, have 1-inch margins, and page numbers. So please follow with these rules. They're really important, and they'll help the judging process a lot. All right, now we'll talk about all the different components that go into your pre-proposal and make it a really effective document. So I can't emphasize enough that this is not an outline of what your proposal should look like. What we don't expect is 200 pre-proposal applications that come in with section headers that say problem statement, existing solutions, proposed innovation, and team bios. If you choose to use a graphic to describe your entire project over the 3 pages and it has no text whatsoever, but as long as it hits all these different components that we're asking you to cover, that's completely fine. It's really up to you to kind of push sections together, deconstruct it, be as creative as you want. You are the expert about communicating your idea, and you know best how to do so. So please don't see this as an outline, just use it as a broader kind of framework about and a checklist of all the things that you do need to cover in your pre-proposal. I'll go ahead and show you some additional resources that you can access as well on our Big Ideas webpage. So on our workshops page, you'll also see that in our writing workshop under past events, you'll have a pre-proposal example 1 and writing tips. Writing tips is something that you should definitely read as you're working on your pre-proposal. But if you want an example of what some former pre-proposals have looked like, you can go ahead and watch our writing workshop, which is this video here, and we'll walk you through an example of a previous winner, and then we kind of talk about the strengths and weaknesses of that pre-proposal. But going back into our presentation, so the first section you need to be covering in your pre-proposal is your problem statement. This is, what problem are you addressing? What is the need that exists? And it's an opportunity for you to showcase the research you've done and all the background knowledge that you have on the problem at hand. It's also an opportunity for you to demonstrate your passion and connection to this topic. So it's useful to pair the research and statistics on the problem and the community you wish to serve, also with any anecdotal evidence that you have, or maybe some qualitative research that you've done as well. Some general tips: we encourage student teams to not list any unnecessary information. You want as much relevant data as possible. So say if I was to talk about kind of water and sanitation issues in Cambodia, I could talk about poverty rates, but it might be more effective to say that an estimated 66% of Cambodians don't have access to improved drinking water resources, and diarrheal diseases are the #1 cause of death and disease for Cambodian children. So try to be as specific as you can. And seeing as this is a proposal writing competition, the best thing you can do is do as much research and in-depth research as you can to show the judge that you really know the problem and you have a personal connection to it. The second section that you need to include is existing solutions. And also for those of you who participated last year, you'll notice that this is a new section that we've decided to include that was previously part of the needs statement. And this was because over and over, student teams would come to us and they would start to tell us about their ideas, and we would ask them, so what are your competitors doing? What else is being done in the field that could potentially be similar to the project that you're talking about? And most of the time, the student wouldn't know what other organizations were doing this similar work, what other services were being provided. So we really want you to focus on this existing solutions section to kind of give a landscape of what is out there and where those solutions fell short. So what have other organizations done well? What challenges have they faced? why haven't they been able to scale to a global level? And this whole section is basically a setup for you to talk about where your project fits in within this landscape. Which leads us to the proposed innovation section. Here you need to talk about your proposed innovation and specifically the goals and objectives that you have. So breaking that down a bit, the goals are the things that are more abstract and the objectives are the specific, concrete, and measurable things you're going to do to achieve your goal. So for instance, if my goal was to reduce poverty in the California area, my objective would be that in order to do that, I'm going to create a one-year job training program for 100 people in Alameda County that provides workshops on career advising or resume writing or networking, and then track whether or not they retain those jobs for longer than 1 year after they graduate from my program. So breaking that down, we talk about who gets the intervention, how many people get the intervention, what the intervention is, how long they receive the intervention, how I personally define improvement or progress, and then how I plan to measure that. And just to clarify, the primary time frame that you'll be focused on is your first year of implementation. If you have aspirations to take this project to a greater scale after your first year, that's fine and something that should be mentioned, but the nuts and bolts of your project should focus on the first year.
In that first year of implementation, considering that the Big Ideas Contest wraps up in May, should really be looking at sort of a June 31st, 2016 to July 1st, 2017 timeframe.
This is the proposed innovation section is also the space where you talk about your value proposition. So since you don't have a lot of space in your pre-proposal to write about your project, I highly recommend that each sentence be value added. So instead of saying something like, this water filter is portable, low cost, and easy to maintain, you want to say something like, the most commonly used filtration systems cost approximately $10, they weigh 20 pounds, and are impossible to repair using local materials, but ours costs $7, weigh 10 pounds, and can be easily repaired locally. Okay, I hope that makes sense to everyone, but everybody please email if you have any questions.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate, two of the main issues we see with student applications every year is number one, the risk assessment, and honestly, candidly talking about the challenges that your project will face during implementation, during the pilot phase, and how you might overcome those. That's number one. And number two is doing the landscape research and knowing what other projects are out there on the market and how your project builds upon or exceeds what's already there. Those are the two main issues that we see year after year. So make sure those two areas are addressed really well, because we do see that judges find these holes in projects a lot. So just be cognizant of those things.
In this section, you also want to talk about potential challenges that could happen during implementation. And again, I want to reiterate that your full proposal will focus on viability, but you do want to start thinking about the challenges ahead. We also highly recommend that you use show, don't tell language. I think a lot of students have a tendency to use buzzwords, and here at Big Ideas, we do as well. But if you're talking about something like sustainability, it helps to break down what exactly that means to judges. So does that mean lower environmental impact? Does it mean future community ownership or long-term marketability? In this section, you can also include partnerships, which is something that gives your project a lot of legitimacy. So we understand for a lot of teams, you're just starting to think about your idea and starting to develop your proposal and haven't had a chance to really establish partnerships. But if you have, this is a great area to put in potential organizations or maybe government or other entrepreneurial people that you've been talking with and potentially could partner with. And for those of you who haven't been able to do it, it helps to kind of start identifying people that you could start to reach out to in the full proposal round as well.
Okay. Adrian, we just got a question. And maybe you can take this one on, or I'm happy to as well. How do judges decide if it's innovative?
So innovation can be two different things, as I mentioned. It could be an entirely new approach to tackling an issue at hand, or it could be maybe using something that is already existing and utilizing it in an innovative way. And Philip, do you want to add a little bit to that?
Yeah, I'd really put it back on the writers of the proposal. It's up to you to convince the judge that your proposal is innovative. It's really up to you to make the case that what you're attempting to do hasn't been done before, whether it's a new technology or whether it's a new take on an existing technology. Either one of those can be innovative. It really just has to, and you saw in the video, I think one of the students described, surpass what's already there. It has to be new, and it has to surpass and exceed upon what's already there. If you can do that, and if you can convince the judges it's innovative, you've done your job.
It could also be taking advantage and catering your product to a certain part of the market that hasn't previously been addressed to. So maybe a certain product will work for the majority of the population, but for certain populations, it's just not that great of a product. And being able to kind of talk about the specifics of that and tailor your product to their needs is also innovative. All right, and our last section in the pre-proposal is our team bio section. And here's your opportunity to convince the judges that your team has the capability to carry out the innovation that you've proposed. So this doesn't need to be lengthy. It's not a summary of your resume or all the professional experience you've had. It's really what skills does each individual team member bring to the table that allows you to carry out your project. So here at Big Ideas, we also emphasize interdisciplinary teams. And we've had students ask before, does your team absolutely need to be interdisciplinary? What if it's just a team of 4 computer programmers? And our response is that's completely fine as long as you don't think that there's any value added in adding someone who maybe has a business background that could write up a business plan, or somebody who knows a community that you're trying to implement your project in. So interdisciplinary is just, it's a reflection of the complex nature of the problems that people typically try to address with their Big Ideas proposal. But it's not an absolute. You don't need 4 different people from 4 different backgrounds in your project team.
Yeah, we've had projects that have been consisted of 1 person. We've had projects that have consisted of student groups that have 200 students in them. So it can be any size. Again, it's really just, do you have the team in place to implement the project if you get funding, and do you have those skill sets represented? And that's what the judges are looking for in that proposal round. Okay, we have one more question, Adrian. What if my idea changes after I submit it? And I'll handle this one. So that's actually a great question, and we've had that happen in the past. A student submits a pre-proposal, and then through the course of the research and going into the full proposal and working with their mentors, they have to shift the project in a different direction. As long as you're still attempting to solve and address the same issue that your proposal focused on, and as long as it's still going in that direction, having a different twist on it, taking a different route to get to it, once you learn from doing more research, from having worked with your mentor, that's perfectly fine. It should still sort of fit within the core of your original idea, but it can definitely shift. This is an academic year-long contest, so there's lots of room to sort of move and shift the project during the duration.
Okay. So that wraps up our presentation. As you can see, please don't hesitate to contact our team at bigideas@berkeley.edu with any questions and advice. We love meeting people from all the different campuses. So if you're from William & Mary or UC Davis, we very much enjoy talking to you and highly encourage you to set up a Skype advising appointment with us.
And we have one more question. It's about how many teams competed last year and how many won, and were there any other teams from other UC campuses that competed in Big Ideas? So last year, just by way of scope, we had 200 teams representing 700 students compete in Big Ideas. We ended up with about 48 teams winning awards. Now, of those original teams, of those original 200, 42 came from the UC system and 8 ended up winning awards. So we have had winners from other campuses, particularly Merced and UC Davis and UC Santa Cruz have been represented, but last year we got proposals from 9 of the 10 UC campuses. So we're hoping to even build upon that this year. We'd love to get more applications from all of the schools within the Higher Education Solutions Network, like Texas A&M, William & Mary, MIT, Duke, Michigan State, as well as from other campuses within the UC system. And as I was talking, we got another question. What other resources do you offer for other schools, and what resources do you offer after I win? So the resources we offer to Berkeley students, we try to offer to other schools as well. And those are the mentorship, the judging feedback, the writing and information sessions, which are recorded and put on our website, in which we webcast live. We also have the drop-in advising hours, and you can do that remotely. Again, it's all bigideas.berkeley.edu. So all those resources we have for Berkeley students are available remotely for Big Ideas teams at other campuses. Adrienne has a comment.
And I also want to emphasize 2 great events that are coming up that would be great resources for our remote teams, and that's the advising workshop, and that's the October 28th, I believe. But it's an opportunity for you to sign up for Skype advising with one of us, and we'll have tailored expertise. So not just kind of our general team that you would talk to, but people with specific expertise that could really help to kind of enhance the quality of your proposals, as well as the editing blitz. Even though these 2 events are taking place physically on the Berkeley campus, we're opening up to all of our teams across the entire world. So our editing blitz is our kind of last minute edit for your pre-proposal. If you want someone to read through, we're happy to do it. And we'll be advertising those 2 opportunities soon, and you'll be able to RSVP and sign up for them.
And then the other part of that question was, what resources do you have after I win? To that end, as I mentioned earlier, we have a scaling up category, which is just for past winners who need additional funding to take their project to the next level. So there's a category that's open to Big Ideas teams. The other thing we have is a great network of mentors and judges. This year we have over 200 judges, and we'll have probably 50 to 75 mentors working with teams. This network can be definitely pulled upon whenever other teams, past winners, need support in various areas. We also have practitioners and residents and virtual appointments we can set up through practitioners and residents with people who handle specialty issues like IP or organizational design, things like that. So we have lots of different ways, but the best thing we have is just open dialogue with our past Big Ideas winners, because we want to continue to support them as they take their project and move it towards that investment ready stage, and get it sort of out there into the world.
Any more questions?
Question, if I'm looking for other teammates, can you help me find them? So if you're from another school and you want to find teammates at your campus or at another campus, one thing we do is we will, if you want to give us sort of a blurb about your project and what you're looking for, we help post that on social media. If you're a Berkeley student particularly, we have great events here on the Berkeley campus. We have the Innovators at Cal event, which is coming up on October 19th. I encourage you to check that out. That's a great opportunity for Berkeley students to network. But I would also just encourage anybody from another campus to call us and brainstorm with us about where you could go find on your campus, through the contacts we might have on your campus, the type of student that you're looking for. You know, who are those computer science clubs that you're looking for if you need somebody to help you develop your web app, things like that. We're good at brainstorming, and that's where we want to help you. And I don't see any other questions at this point, but as always, you can email us at bigideas@berkeley.edu anytime, day or night. We might not answer in the middle of the night, but we will answer you first thing in the morning, and we love to work with our teams. I would also add to that our advising hours and our availability does get pressured as we get closer to the deadline. So if you have questions, I'd say start your application early, ask us questions early. Even late, we'll still get back to you, but it might be more delayed than right now. So if you have questions, if you want to meet with us for an advising appointment, email us today and let's get the process started. Anything to add, Adrienne?
And if you want any additional resources or additional practice, just make sure you look at our old videos, our information session, and especially the writing workshop where we go through a pre-proposal example. And then just some general tips: have as many people as you can listen to you pitch your idea, have as many people as you can read your pre-proposal, and that'll strengthen it for when you finally are ready to submit on November 12th. And we look forward to seeing all of your proposals.
Okay, and thanks everybody for attending this webinar. We've enjoyed hanging out with you, and hopefully we will see your application on November 12th, noon Pacific time. And good luck to everyone, and please contact us if you have any questions at all. Thanks, and have a great day.